What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening to Your Ex-Drinking Buddy. My name is Brennan Tassif. I'll be your host. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. Check out the merch store at brennantcomedy.com/merch-store. And make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. We'll put the shorts up there, the full video, the whole thing. Thank you so much for listening. I love it. I hope you love it. Subscribe on Patreon, too. We do bonus episodes. I do Tales from the Restaurant, where I talk about celebrities I've waited on and whether they're assholes or not, which is super fun. Also, we do a pre-show banter for my other show, Cheers from the Press Box with Joe Dorville. A lot of behind-the-scenes stuff going on over there, too. Make sure you just subscribe everywhere, just all over the place. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're not leaving the mean comments, thank you for that. Maybe leave a couple nice ones.
Grab me your beer and grab me a coke. We about to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you're new to the program, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do, hang out with friends, get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it's still one of my favorite things to do, hang out with somebody and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I'll be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from New York City, Antonio Barbosa.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. What's up with you, man?
This is great, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we get too far in anything, plug everything up front.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I also have a podcast. It's called The Smoking Simian. Do it every Thursday. New episode every Thursday, every week. I also have a Substack titled Absurd. It's not funny. It's not supposed to be funny.
No,
so.
I understand that. As someone who did a one-man show, and I told everybody, it's not funny. It's dramatic. And then everyone was like, that wasn't funny at all. It's like,
right.
Yeah, I know, man.
Remember that thing I said? And then my Instagram is Antonio the Comical. There's also an Instagram for The Smoking Simian. So check that out everywhere you get podcasts.
Hell yeah, man. What do you guys talk about on the Smoking Simian?
I mean, it really depends on who I have on.
Okay.
As of recent, it's been a lot of comedians.
What's with where'd the name come from?
So I made the cover art first. Like, I love gorillas. I got
a
big screaming gorilla about this size tattooed on my back.
Okay.
And,
I'm also a big fan of the gorillas.
Yeah, and I was fucking around on Canva one time, and I had the idea to have the podcast, but then I made this gorilla, and in the background there's like pine trees, and he's in the mountains, and his face is like, I shouldn't be here. That's like,
yeah.
So in my mind, I was smoking more weed during that time, and I was like, the Smoking Simian, this is perfect. It's an alliteration. It sounds nice.
There you go.
And we used to smoke all the time on the show, but not so much anymore.
That makes sense then.
Yeah.
Because I was like, where'd the smoking? But now it all checks out. So we met via social media.
Yes.
Which is interesting because the longer I've been doing the show, the more and more people I've been meeting via. So like I'll have a friend of a friend on or something like that, and then people reach out. And so we started talking about this a few months ago to get you on the show. But between your schedule and my schedule, especially with all the traveling I've been doing, I was like, dude, we'll do it. And I think I was like March, definitely March. And then you reached out in March and I was like, fuck, April, definitely April. So now here we are, first week of April. We have you on. Couple of things before we get too far into anything. I always like to do this because stand-up itself is such a niche thing. How did you get into stand-up? How did you even get into comedy?
So getting into it, like actually practicing it.
No, but I mean even before that, like how did you even find it?
Oh, okay.
Because I know you're younger than me, but a lot like for my generation, it was Comedy Central presents. I have younger comics on, and they're like, it just popped up on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm always interested to know how, because people want to be like musicians or rock stars or actors, but being a comic is kind of like a real like specific lane. So how did you even find it?
Yeah, so my parents are big stand-up fans.
Okay.
Really big stand-up fans. And as a child, I was watching, George Carlin. Like, I'm talking about like 10 years old, 7 years old. I'm watching like George Carlin. I'm looking into Sam Kinison.
Okay.
I'm going
so you were
dark
around
at a
it.
child.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
which is a crazy idea.
yeah. Because I'm 27, so YouTube was still in its infancy.
Yeah.
And you just let a fucking 10-year-old free on the internet.
It's even when they have the kid protection, because I don't have any kids, but my nieces, I'll talk to my twin sister about it. She'll be like, yeah, you can't, even with the kid protections, it's still like they find loopholes to put like some weird shit in there.
Yeah, exactly. If you like put like a card that says this is for educational use at the beginning.
Yeah, you can do almost whatever you want.
Yeah.
And this is 17 years ago, so there was no, like, you were just off.
Right. So, yeah, and Comedy Central Presents was big at that time, too. I preferred to watch that over almost anything.
Yeah.
As a
that
kid.
used to be such, and I've talked about this with guests
awesome.
before, but it was such a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like if I saw someone, because I'm friends with some of those people who had those specials, back 10, 12 years ago, and I'm like, dude, like I watched you on TV, like on like as a comedian back then, Comedy Central was the holy grail. So it's like, I can't believe I'm sitting at a table with you and we're like friends now. I saw you on TV. You had your name in the background and everything. And now, because Comedy Central's basically gone bankrupt, everyone's like, who cares?
I know. That was like their biggest, once they stopped doing that, once they stopped doing the Comedy Central Presents, I think that was a bit of a fall there.
Yeah, they started doing just, obviously they have South Park, but other than that, it was just kind of like Reno 911 reruns. And they're just like, well, just go with this. It's like, yeah, but you were supposed to be a stand-up thing.
Right.
So so you got into it at a young age. When was the first time you were like, I think I want to try this?
First time I tried, so the first time I tried it in front of an audience, I was 18, 19.
Okay. And where are you living at the time?
Rhode Island.
Okay. Did you grow up in Rhode Island?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would assume with states like Maine, Rhode Island, North Dakota, people aren't like, no, I just decided to go there one day. So that's where you grew up.
You just respond and you're stuck. It's true, dude.
No, that's a great way to put it. Like coming out and you're like, I thought I saved it at the last save point. What the fuck, man? I play a lot of RPG games, so it's a lot of times like Skyrim and Witcher, where if you don't save it, the auto save like lags.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it only does it at certain checkpoints. So there'll be times I get so much shit done and then I pop up and I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's Rhode Island.
That's Rhode Island.
yeah. Except most people don't leave. But yeah, that's where I did it the first time. But before that, if you want to count this,
And I will.
just to go even deeper here, I would always be the cousin at the family cookout or whatever that would tell jokes to everybody. Not my jokes, just jokes.
Where are you getting? Are these jokes you heard on like Comedy Central Present? Like, are you doing Mitch Hedberg, like Dufresne, Party of Two?
Yes.
Dufresne. Okay.
I'm doing that. I'm looking up jokes like funny, inappropriate jokes or whatever as a kid, funny dick jokes or something. And I would be like,
dead baby jokes. That was a big thing.
Exactly. And my grandmother's there in front of me. And I would get nervous.
Have you performed in front of your grandmother since?
No. In front of my mom, though, yeah.
Okay. The reason I bring that up is because I did a show in Ohio once, and my grandmother came. Like, my mom moved to Ohio a few years ago, and I was like, oh, I'll go visit. And then she brought in my grandmother, who at the time was like 92. This is like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And my mom, because I've been doing comedy a while, my mom had me put together this whole comedy show. So, you go on Facebook, you like type in whatever city you are, stand-up comedy, and everyone has a group. So I reach out to a bunch of comics. And I'm all nervous because I'm performing in front of my older brother, who I barely ever see because he doesn't live in the country, my grandmother, and like at my mom's like little restaurant. And I remember going up, and it was like, I was like, oh, I have to do specific jokes because my grandma's here.
Right.
And it was okay. I think it wasn't great, but it was okay. The comic who went up after me, who had been like doing comedy for like 30 years. So everyone who like helped me book the show was like, he has to go last. Like he's kind of a diva that way. He's got to go last. So I was like, whatever, even though it's my show, he'll headline.
Right.
So he goes up, does like 30 minutes, all about like living at home with his mom, but like still jerking off and stuff. And I'm like, this is a disaster. And then when I go to my grandma after, she goes, you were okay. That last guy, he was so funny. And I was like, motherfucker.
See, you got to swing for it.
You just got to, you
go
never
for it.
know.
Yeah.
So you're doing this. You're doing all these, like the cookouts and the family get-togethers and stuff. And we're at that point where you like, oh, this is something I want to pursue.
No, not at all.
You were just doing it to have fun.
I was getting attention.
Okay.
And I was like,
because you're putting
sick.
work in. You're like looking up jokes and stealing bits and stuff. So you're like, it's not like you're just riffing.
Right. Yeah. And like where I come from, it's a term of endearment to be funny. Mm-hmm. Like all my friends were funny. My family's funny. Everybody's fucking funny.
Yeah.
So when I got to 19, 18, just starting college, it was like, I think I could try this.
Okay.
Not in the sense I didn't have the forethought to try and make a career out of it or
Yeah.
really pursue it like I am now. But at that time, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try, and I pretty much did that.
Where did you go to college?
In Rhode Island. I went
Okay.
to Rhode Island College, CCRI first. Which
So
is
you
community
stayed.
college.
You just stayed in the general area.
What you mean?
Like you didn't like because I have some guests on and they're like, yeah, I wanted to get as far away from home as possible. So like I grew up in New Jersey and I went to USC. And
Right,
you're like,
right,
what
right.
the fuck? But you were like, no, I'm gonna chill here. I'm gonna stay in Rhode Island.
Yeah, for college, yes.
Okay.
There were a few times when I wanted to move here to New York,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't pan out for one reason or
Yeah.
another. One of it was to go away to college. That didn't happen. Then it was to get a job outside of college. That didn't happen.
Damn. So you've been trying to come to New York for a minute.
Yeah.
That's an interesting because I was the same. I remember when I finally decided to like pursue stand up full time. It was like New York or LA, New York or LA, and then I came to New York on a trip with my ex. And as soon as I got off the subway, I was like, oh, it's New York.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, you
there's
feel
something
it.
about the city where you're like, oh,
weird.
it's here.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and it took us like 2 more years to get here. But I was like, oh no, we're going.
Yes.
So for you, I interrupted because I'm a piece of shit and I do that all the time. It's so funny because people are always like, you interrupt too much. I'm like, yeah, but I just want to know these little details.
No,
They
this
go,
is good. This
you
is
can
good."
wait till the person's done talking to
Yeah.
ask. And I was like, I mean, I could.
Sometimes you forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you grow up in Rhode Island. You're going to college now in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And and as you said, you weren't pursuing it full time as like a career, but you were like, I want to try this.
Yeah.
So take us through that.
Yeah, so I did it for maybe, I feel like I'm lying if I say 6 months. It feels less, like maybe 4 or 5 months.
Just doing open mics or?
Like one a week.
Okay. Yeah, we've been there. We all been there.
Yeah. Because I didn't understand like the work that goes into it.
That's required. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh yes, I am very aware.
Yeah, have you heard?
I used to tell people I started in 2009 because that's when I first started going to mics. But same, like one a week, maybe one a month.
Right.
And then it was like you take 3 months off and then you show back up. And then I started telling people in New York, I was like, I've been doing comedy since 2009. And they go, your career should be much further along. And I was like, yeah, I did take a few breaks. I should probably reset that clock to when I
Right.
when I like came back and like was really pursuing it.
Yeah.
What was the first mic like?
It was the perfect first mic.
Okay.
Like the perfect first open.
Take us through it. Take us through the whole thing. What material were you doing? How long were you prepping for it?
Yeah, so I had 5 minutes. I didn't have 5 minutes, but I was allotted 5 minutes.
That is a very key distinction.
Yeah.
When it comes to stand up.
And this particular one, it was actually booked. So it was like a weird thing where they wanted you to bring people.
Yes.
And for everyone you brought, they actually had to pay. It was weird. It was an open mic.
So it was
It was like a
bringer open mic.
Kinda,
like a
yeah.
hybrid kind of a thing.
And you got half of the
Oh,
ticket
okay.
price.
Now we're talking.
So I brought my
1,000 people.
whole family.
Yeah.
A bunch of people came, like 20 people, family and friends. I packed the fucking thing out. All the other comics were probably amped. But I think I made like $100 off of that. And then I did 3 minutes.
And it was your first time doing it.
First time. I did 3 minutes and killed because it's my friends and family.
Yeah.
And then
You were like,
was
this is easy.
I could do this all the time. Let me do it that way every time. And it'll
God,
be,
that is a cool experience. When I remember similarly when I got out of rehab and I was living in a halfway house and I was like, this is back in like 2013. So I don't count 09 to 18 because that's when I was in and out of sobriety and it was a mess. So, but this was in 2013. I invited like all the people I knew from rehab, because it was in Jacksonville, and then I stayed in Jacksonville for the halfway house to like live. Mm-hmm. So I invited like, I don't know, 15, 20 people, like 12 showed up. And for an open mic in a bigger city like Jacksonville, to have one person bring 12 people, that was like a big deal. And I remember crushing, and I was just like, this is the thing now. And then every time I had a mic and or a show after that, it was like less, like First it was 12 people, then it was 10 people, then it was 7 people, then it by
Starts
the end
to dwindle.
Yeah, so after like 4 or 5 months of like inviting everybody to a show like once a month, it becomes like your 2 like ride or dies are still coming,
Right.
but everyone else is gone. And you're like, oh, this isn't as much fun when I had like 20 people like dying laughing.
Yeah, you almost have to start meeting people just to bring them.
I ran a show here in Astoria, and I normally do stuff in Manhattan, obviously with stand up and everything. And I did a show one time here in Astoria. Shout out Grove 34, great club.
Yeah.
And I remember my girlfriend Tracy had to she invited like a ton of her friends. She's like my Barker now, basically. Like she just brings it because all her friends, they're all civilians, so they're all like, "Oh my god, next time Brendan has a show, we totally want to go." So she just reaches out. Her brother Jeff, shout out, he reached out, and it became this thing where I was like, "Oh, there's like 20, 30 people here." I don't know a single one like personally.
That's awesome.
Like it's all my girlfriend's friend. And that's to your point though. That's when I was like, oh, I live in maybe I should start meeting people in Astoria.
Right.
Because like I live here, and she literally was like, who are you inviting? And I was like, I got nothing. Nobody.
Just leave a stack of flyers in a couple different places.
I'm gonna have to start doing it, just hanging out at the gym.
Yeah.
Be like, hey guys. So for you do that first mic, and then are you like, because you had mentioned you were starting to do them you were doing them like once a week or something.
Yeah.
So was that wasn't like a catalyst to be like, I'm gonna like, this is what I want to do? Like, what was the feeling after?
It felt really good. I was excited, but I didn't think, because I was starting school. It was right around the same time that I was starting college.
Okay.
And in my mind, like I come from a family of immigrants. They don't want to hear that you're going to do stand-up comedy. They don't want to hear that, you know? So I'm going to school just to kind of quiet them.
Yeah, they're like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, art? What? Get the hell out of here.
No, yeah, that's nonsense. You got to get paid. Money is it's paramount to the people I come from. So, yeah, I'm like, this is like a cool, fun thing. Maybe I'll see, I'll play with it. And I would go like once a week, and I would try new things. And then I got booked. This is my PTSD moment.
Okay.
That made me stop doing stand-up.
Okay, yeah.
All throughout college.
So you're in college, you're a freshman, you're having a good time,
and then
dun dun dun.
I got booked on a competition, and I had to bring people, like 4 people, 5, which wasn't a problem.
Competitions.
I don't like them.
Just a little,
stupid.
A little aside.
Yeah.
One, because comedy is so subjective, and 2, it's just basically a bringer show for who can bring the most people.
Right.
Because it's like, we'll have the audience vote, and it's like, I know, most comedians are very observant. That's how we kind of got into this thing, between that and like childhood shit. But to the point where it's like, I know what you're doing as a booker. It's not a competition. You're saying it's a competition to fuel my ego and my competitive spirit.
Yes.
Because then I'll think, oh, well, if I bring the most people, I'll win.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's not, you can't judge comedy that way.
No.
I know people who sell out arenas where I'm like, yeah, I understand the structure of the joke, but it's not, I don't think it's funny.
Sure.
And then I also know people I meet at open mics where I'm like, this is the funniest fucking person I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So like,
It is super subjective.
I hate competitions because of that.
Yeah. No, they're definitely problematic, I would say. We could call them that.
Yeah. So, but you're doing a comedy competition.
Yeah, and I brought like 4 friends. A couple of them were girls.
There you go.
So now
Hard
the
flex.
pressure's on.
Hard flex.
And
you know what they say? If you can make them laugh, you can make them breakfast.
That's right. I've never heard that.
Really?
No, that's great.
I heard that line somewhere, like in a show, like a shitty, because I watch a lot of bad shows, like a shitty show or something. And that's how I got my ex. She was training me at the restaurant, and I said something, and she laughed, and I was like, "Well, you know what they say? If you can make them laugh, you can make them breakfast." Wow. And she was like, "That's when I knew." And I go, "That was probably a red flag that was the moment."
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. You should have recognized that one.
Yeah, I didn't. Anyway,
he's just like, I got game.
Yeah,
son.
I was like, "Yo, I'm crushing." And I was like, "Wait, a lot of people make her laugh."
Yeah, right. So, I got a few people there, and my plan is to go up with something completely new. Oh. Completely new.
Yeah.
Audience, maybe the biggest audience I've seen at the time.
Give the people what they want.
And then I look at the list, and I'm first.
Ooh.
I was like, I even looked at the guy. I'm like, I'm first? And he's like,
Alphabetical.
Come out swinging, buddy. Yeah, alphabetical, right?
A, B, you're up, man.
Yeah, Zachary's last. So I went up there, dude, and I like.
You had how many? You said you had like 4 or 5 people in the audience?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's a packed
Yeah.
crowd. How many do you think? Like 60, 70, 100?
Probably 100.
Okay.
Probably
because depending on
close
the room,
to 100, 80 to 100.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because depending on the room, packed is obviously it's a sliding scale. Like I've done shows and like we've all done shows in like smaller spots, but the energy like it's awesome. And then I've done bigger rooms where you're like this sucks.
Yeah.
Like nobody's paying attention. Like what the fuck's going on here?
No, this was like perfect. Like the room was big, but it was packed out.
Yeah.
You know.
And you're just like getting ready to go up, or you like, oh, I'm about to knock this out of the park.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where I was trying to
like the walk to the microphone. What are you thinking?
I'm pressing down every possibility that it could go wrong.
Oh, okay.
Which is bad. Mm-hmm. It's not a good thing.
You're putting it in your head.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, this is going to be easy. I got this. I know my jokes, and this is going to be fun. And I don't know my jokes. Like, I know that I don't know my
They're
jokes.
new.
They're brand new. I've never done them.
Hey, have you guys ever... Wait, hang on. I set that up wrong. Forget I said that.
Restart.
Yeah.
Rewind. I didn't say any of that. And it was one of those times. Anytime I've ever tried to not feel whatever nervousness I have, I ruin it.
Yeah.
Whether it's stand up or something else, I fall apart for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's a cascading effect.
Yeah.
It's a quicksand.
Yeah.
As they so elegantly put it on The Replacements, that movie with Keanu Reeves. You know, one thing goes wrong. You think everything's fine, and then one thing goes wrong, and then another, and another, and another, and before you know it, you're in over your head.
That's a deep pull.
Yeah,
Replacements.
thank you. That's one of my.
I love that movie.
I have a whole. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I have this bit that I do on stage where I talk about. Not now. I've been doing it for years, but it's a great bit because when I say I like earlier, when I said I like Burn Notice is my favorite show of all time. Like I like all this obscure stuff, and the reason, one of my favorite reasons for loving it is I can pull those things, and people are like, "That's so prophetic."
Yeah.
Like if I said the quicksand line and you'd never seen The Replacements, which is very possible, you'd be like, "Yeah, man,
Yeah.
yeah." But I'm like, no, it's Keanu Reeves and Gene Hackman. What do you want from me? So you go, and it's interesting you bring this up because I have the same problem or issue or whatever. Even to this day, as long as I've been doing stand-up and as many shows as we've done, if the first bit doesn't go well, like if it's just awkward silence, I have a pivot bit that I normally will, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, that's not working. And I have a pivot bit. So I'll completely get off the topic and I'll pivot. And then if that doesn't work, I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. You know what I mean? Like then that what you're talking about kind of triggers in my head where I'm like, this is a disaster. This is all falling apart. So I always tell comedians, I'm like, if at least one of the first 2 jokes lands, I'm fine.
Yes.
If both of them land, I'm like, I'm on a cloud.
Yeah.
If none of them land, it turns into sheer, like if you put those sets side by side, same exact set, one with it working and one with it not working, they look like 2 different sets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you go up there, disaster.
Horrible disaster.
Do you remember how much time were you doing? Like, do you remember the moment when you were like, oh, this is bad?
Oh, from the beginning.
Okay, so you
Like
just
immediately
grabbed
in the beginning.
mic
As soon as I grabbed the mic, I didn't even know what I was going to say to start off. It like feedbacked. I was like, I said something stupid there. Like, it was just bad. It was all bad. There was like a fly flying around my head. I'm like, I don't know, dude. It was so dumb. It was so stupid. And this is the worst part. Every person after me, say it's 10 more people, killed.
Really?
Murdered. So it wasn't the audience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I just sat there and watched the whole thing because we're supposed to get judged at the end. And obviously, I got like.
Were you like, actually, I'm good
pitiest-
with this. I'm out.
Yeah. I should have just left. Thinking back,
Just leave
on
your
it.
friends there.
Yeah, I should have just dipped out. And after that, dude, I didn't do stand up until 2021.
Okay.
And that was 2016, I think.
So that happens, and you were just like, I'm out. Did you?
Yeah. It was one of those moments where when you're lying down before bed and you close your eyes, you remember a time you were embarrassed in high school.
Yeah. Repressed
That was like
memories?
that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I get those all the time. Every day.
Every night, dude.
What just happened just now while we're talking? And we
Yeah.
brought that up. And then I was like, fuck, remember that time you did that thing?
Mm-hmm. So I fucking and then I stopped and I'm like, I'm just gonna focus on school. I'm gonna be a millionaire. That was my next move.
What'd you major in?
Finance.
Yeah,
I was almost a finance, bro.
Here we go. So then what happens? So you go to school in Rhode Island, and then take us through how you got to New York. Like, then what ends up happening?
Okay, so this is the fun stuff.
Okay.
In my mind, at least. This is the best. I became a financial advisor.
Okay.
Which means...
So you finish school, you get a degree in finance, you're like, I'm going to do... Are you doing like the S7 or the all that stuff? Like all the
No,
testing
not
and
the
stuff?
Series 7. It was... there's a different one. Actually, no, I did need to take that because if I was going to sell... stocks.
If you sell stocks, you have to have that. Because I had the 22 or 21, whatever it is to do life insurance and stuff like that.
Okay, so I got licensed in 3 states to sell life and health insurance.
Okay.
But the next step were the series exams, and then eventually you take the CFP exam. And
because once you have all that, you don't even. Because I have had someone on this show who didn't even go to college for finance. They just studied their ass off and took all the tests and passed them. So they were working at like Goldman Sachs next to people who have like a master's in finance.
Yeah, you could do it on YouTube.
Yeah,
you could just be,
Those are the people. Those are the people watching the money, folks.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's just now, especially now. You don't need to go spend that money.
Yeah, just ChatGPT it, man.
ChatGPT.
So you end up becoming, you said a broker, or not a broker, an insurance or a stock guy, like a finance guy.
Yeah, for about 5 days. I quit everything in my life.
Maybe spit take right into my nice microphone.
I quit everything in my life. Quit my serving job. Said I was going to move to Boston. I was training at a MMA gym, and I was like, "Hey, I'm moving to Boston." So they were nice enough to like stop the contract. I offered to buy it out. They were like, "No, don't worry about it. You're a friend of the gym."
So you finish. I just want to get the timeline right.
Yes,
you finish
college.
You're working as a server through the end, like through college.
Yep.
What was nice? Medium? What kind of restaurant?
It was like
I've been a server for like 15, 20. I've been in restaurants for 20 years, which is why I'm like, what kind of? Give me the lowdown.
It was like a casual Italian place.
Okay.
You could go there. It was white tablecloths, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
real fancy,
Yeah, I worked at Outback for like 10 years, and then I upgraded. Well, then I pivoted to breakfast, and then I upgraded. Now I only do like high-end steakhouses.
Yeah.
But it's because it's the same fucking thing.
It is the same thing.
Like, people are like, oh, this is much nicer than that. It's like,
Doesn't
I have
matter.
friends of mine that work at the Applebee's in Times Square make more money than I do.
Yeah.
Because they have an auto grad on every table.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, so you guys and it's super busy all the time.
Wherever you work, everybody's drinking, everyone's smoking weed.
Yeah, it's all the
I mean,
same.
the staff.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
100%.
like everyone's on drugs.
Sometimes the bosses.
Oh yeah, big time.
I remember when I was a manager at Outback, I was always. So you're working at the restaurant. You're doing training in an MMA gym.
Yeah.
And then then you get the job doing financial services. What is this pivot? Like, what happens where you're like, I'm going to Boston?
Throughout the summer, I was applying at a bunch of different places.
You just wanted to get out of Rhode Island.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that was kind of the crux of the whole issue was I just want to get out of here.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally, and by any means. And the goal was always New York. The goal was always to stay in Rhode
To
Island.
come back.
Forget what we were saying earlier.
The goal was always to respawn in my original checkpoint.
Yeah. I miss my old bedroom.
So the goal was always New York.
The goal was always New York. I was applying here, but I was fine with Boston. I'm like, fuck it, I can do Boston. And I ended up getting a job in Boston. And I had a ball applying to these places because I got to dress in a suit and go into big, long elevator rides. And I was like, this is fucking, I'm going to be a gajillionaire, dude. You people have no idea. You guys got no clue what's coming.
It was so much fun when I was doing that life insurance thing to dress up. Because all our jobs, I never got to play dress up.
Right.
Like I never got to do. I didn't have that. Like I majored in
black jeans.
Yeah, and I was gonna go to law school, and then I didn't. And I'm a drug addict and alcoholic, so like it was always just like you said, jeans and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt. And then when I got doing financial services, and I was like, they were like, you don't have to wear a suit. I'm like, but I can wear a suit, correct?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, if you want. And I was like, oh, I want to.
Yeah.
Plus, my favorite comedian, Matt Fulcheron, who I'm going on tour with, get tickets at BrennanTComedy.com, the Bro Adjacent tour.
Nice.
When I watched his Comedy Central Presents back in 2012, he wore a suit. And it was like, as a bit, like he's a punk guy, like a punk rocker kind of guy, like an anti-establishment guy, which is why he wore the suit, because it was funny. Mm-hmm. But when I saw that, I was like, I'm going to start wearing a suit. When I first started doing open mics a long time ago, I would wear a suit to the open mic.
Nice.
So it's like any
Good
excuse
move.
to wear a suit. I was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So you're applying and you're like,
This is great.
This is easy.
And then I go through all the tests. I go
It's
through
your
all the
first open
training.
mic. You're like, I could
Yes,
do this forever.
dude. Yeah, there's some parallels here. And I go through the whole thing, and I'm sitting in this office that's pretty much empty.
Yeah.
It's me, my boss.
This is
and
in
like
Boston?
One other guy. Yeah.
Now you're in Boston. You're doing it.
And not like downtown Boston. This is like Braintree, Boston.
Okay.
I don't know if you know about
No.
Massachusetts.
Not at all.
Braintree is like a suburb outside of Boston.
Okay.
It's not very far at all, but it's like a nice suburb. People who have money live in the area, and but it's not the city. Like, I want to live in a city. I want to
Yeah.
be in a fucking tower overlooking my empire here. And I'm and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at what I'm supposed to be doing, which is nothing. I'm supposed to just be telemarketing bullshit over the phone, which is really what the job is.
I love it when they're like,
If we can be
financial
honest.
services. It's like, you have me cold calling
That's exactly what it
these
is.
leads, and they're
Yeah.
not even leads. They're just old people who clicked wrong on an email.
And just the language they use when they're advertising the job, like account executive, you know, like that's always on there. I always
Yeah.
tell people, if you're applying for jobs and you see account executive, go the other way. You're
Yep.
selling solar panels.
Yeah.
Like that's
Or
what
those-
the job is.
The fun thing that they'll do is they'll put in like, you could make anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a day.
Right.
But nowhere on there it says it's completely commission based. You actually make $0.
Yeah, you could make zero also.
Yeah. You're probably
Yeah.
going to make a lot less.
Yeah.
Because they take one guy who sold the most and then times that by like 2, and they're like, well, technically speaking, you could make this much.
Right.
I did it for 3 months, and I only had one day where I sold 6. And you're on the phone for 8 hours a day. And I'm selling like life insurance, which some people think is a scam until they need it, and then they're like I have life insurance.
Sure.
And I'm a broke comic, but I tell my girlfriend all the time, I'm like, yo, if something happens to me, you're
getting something.
you're getting a bag,
Yeah.
quarter mil in your pocket.
Nice.
But it is interesting because the best day that I had, I only sold 6, and I was like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like this is, and I was on the phone for 9 hours.
Right.
Like 9 hours. Like I took a 30-minute break for lunch, and even then I was on speakerphone on my cell phone because I had the calls forwarded because I had to go out and get lunch, but I was on a call.
Sure.
And I was like, this sucks.
Like, I don't mind the act of selling.
Yeah.
I've always been fine with speaking. I've always done presentations. That's why stand-up works so well. So the act of it is fine, but the grunt work of just hammering the phones, it's... Long story short, I'm there for 5 or 6 days, and I am in this abysmal office just looking, and I'm like, I made a fucking awful mistake.
So
Like,
you
this
went
is
through all the
bad.
training. You uprooted your whole life to move to Boston.
4 years in school, uprooted everything.
And you're 5 days in and you go, I've made a terrible mistake.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. What's going through your head? Dude, that's heavy, man.
Dude, I
Like we joke about it now,
Yeah.
but like if
At the
anybody's
time.
listening, think about if you were like
yeah.
5 days in, you're like, fuck.
Yeah. I was literally one of those, is this the rest of my life moments?
Yeah.
You know? And because I'm 22 at the time.
God, that's heavy, dude. That's
Yeah.
as someone who's uprooted his life a few times, I just, and it's like not heavy in the sense of like tragic, but to a certain degree it is, because you're like, this is so funny because it ties right back in to what we were talking about earlier. I did all that stuff. I completed all those side quests, and now I got to restart at the fucking last checkpoint.
Yes.
Like I'm fucked. Like I just wasted
back in
all
Rhode
that.
Island, bro.
I wasted
went back
all
to
that
Rhode
time.
Island, bro.
I wasted all that time.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
This is every nightmare I ever have when I'm playing Skyrim, and I'm like,
Yeah.
motherfucker. You die because you forgot to take a potion, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I didn't move to Boston.
Okay.
Which was good.
Good.
That was a smart move. I
yeah.
was about to, though. I was very close.
Where were you staying?
Still in Rhode Island. It's like an hour drive.
Oh, okay.
I was driving. I had a car at
Geography.
the time. So. Yeah. So it wasn't bad. So I freak out. I quit. And here's the funny part about the quitting thing. I was gonna I typed out a whole thing, and I was like, wait, I don't know if I can print this because I had to go with the secretary.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. So I hand wrote it on like computer paper, not
You
even
hand
line.
wrote
I
a
hand wrote a resignation.
Yeah.
My boss wasn't even there. I just slid it under the door and just left, dude. I was like, yeah, I gotta go to the secretary lady.
I get a call.
Yeah,
That's a banana. Don't mind your business.
Yeah, and then drove home, freaked out, fucking crying, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, what am I gonna do? And
Because this is the life. It's not just the job. This is the life that you've chosen. This is what you went to school for. This is what you were training for. This is what you took the tests for. Like this is a big moment.
yeah, but it was a big moment because of what happens next, and that is the global lockdown.
Okay. Oh,
Now,
I forgot about the timing.
now we're on an even playing field. Nobody's doing anything.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, and I'm getting money like the what were they calling them?
The stimulus.
checks.
Yeah. The stimulus.
I was getting checks every week, dude. More money than I was making.
So I want to ask you, because this is something
Yeah.
that I've always panicked about, because I grew up in Florida. I lived in Florida pretty much my entire life, except for 3 months I lived in Oklahoma City, but that's a different thing. So you technically, how are you applying for unemployment if you don't have a job?
I went back to serving for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I went back to serving.
So you moved back to Rhode Island, or you go back home, you quit the Boston job, and then you're like, you call up the old restaurant. Yo, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yes.
I'm back, baby.
I'm back.
We restarted. Full spawn, full health. What's up?
And then I worked there till St. Patty's Day because the weekend after that was it.
I'm with you on the timeline now, yeah.
Yeah. And
so that's always something I freaked out about, because we were supposed to move here in April of 2020. And like the middle of March, we were supposed to move April 1st. In the middle of March, you know, brokers, they're pieces of shit. And they were like, just sign your lease electronically. Just sign it electronically.
Yeah.
And I've heard so many horror stories. Well, it's mainly 2 horror stories from comics, moving to New York, sight unseen. And it's like a flooded basement apartment. Oh. And they're like, and this is from Florida. So they're packing up their entire lives in a U-Haul, sold their car, driving 20 hours, get there. And they're like, I can't live here. So I told my ex, I was like, we're not moving until we're standing in the living room.
Yeah.
We're not signing a lease until we're standing in the apartment.
That's a good move.
Which was the smartest thing I had ever. And it's just because of a couple of the stories I heard where I was like, we're not letting this happen to us.
Right.
And then the lockdown happened. And the thing I have like panic about is like, how do we move? Because you can't get unemployment in a state you've lived in for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how would we have like, and you can't get it from Florida because you're no longer a Florida resident. And I was like, so when you said that about living in Boston and then the shutdown happening, that the first thing I was like, what did you do?
Yeah, right. Yeah, luckily that was smart. I planned it out the whole way.
I saw it coming from the start.
So now this all coincides with I'm dating this girl and we move in together. And
naturally.
Yeah. And now everything's shut down. I'm not working at all, but I'm making money, so it's nice. She's working a little bit, so we're spending a lot of time together. And now I'm getting into mushrooms. It's the first time I started taking mushrooms, right around this time.
Yeah.
So I have all this time to think about shit. And I'm like, I did a lot of stuff, including college, mostly college, not for me. Mm-hmm. Like if I could have, I would have not gone to college. But I didn't know that I don't know that I would have picked up stand-up at that time.
Yeah.
So obviously everything, falls into place or whatever. But I went to college to kind of quell my family. Mm-hmm. So throughout that period of kind of really just thinking COVID was great for me. Yeah. COVID was a fantastic time for me. I know for some people it was awful, but for me it was great. And I started the podcast in 2020, that August. And then a year after that, I started stand-up.
You started back.
Yeah,
Came
and
back.
like with
the prodigal son has returned.
Yes, yeah.
So, and then what brought you to New York? Because you said the end game was always New York. So how did you get here?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was always searching for the thing that'll bring me to New York. Mm-hmm. At first it was school, then it was a job, and then it was nothing for a little bit. It was me and a girl living together. And I was like, we should move to New York. And she seemed down for that at the time. It didn't play out that way.
Isn't that how it always happens?
Yeah. So.
Sounds like a great idea, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love rats. I love rats and piss.
The stench of piss everywhere.
Yeah. But stand-up ended up being the thing that brought me here. So me and that girl broke up because I didn't want to. She moved to D.C. I wasn't into that. I wanted to move. I've always wanted to move to New York.
Yeah.
And I lived a year in.
He's like, I'm going to D.C. And you're like, okay, have fun, I guess. Bye.
Deuces.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's really what it was. Because by then I had already made up my mind that stand-up was the thing. And she means nothing. So
Can we just talk about that real quick, though? Because the juxtaposition to be at a job and 5 days in, you're like, this is miserable. This can't be the rest of my life.
Yeah.
To finding, quote unquote, the thing. That's a huge there's a lot of people, some people listening right now who are in that 5 day window that you were in, but they've been doing it for years where they're like, because they never found the thing. They never found their thing. And I talked about this with Grace Lobo a couple weeks ago, but to find the thing, especially at a younger age, like I did my first open mic at like 21, 22. You were, in your 20s. Mm-hmm. To find the thing where you're like, oh, this is it. Some people search their whole lives for. Yeah. So the relief, the freedom to be like, oh, no, I got it. I found it. Like everything else will figure itself out, but I found the thing.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I envy people who, and these people exist, don't find a thing. They're not looking for a thing. They don't have a thing. Yep. If we're being honest.
Yeah, we had the same conversation. I dated one of them for a long time.
Yeah.
Where it was just kind of like, I just go to work, I get home, I drink my wine, I watch my show, and then I go to bed.
Nice. It sounds nice sometimes.
There's a true freedom in that too. But that's not the way we're wired.
No, of course not. And I'm thankful. And that's the thing. It's like it was, I guess, kind of it may have been written, in the stars.
Yeah.
But it happened randomly,
Mm-hmm.
So, I moved to Connecticut for a year. That's a fun time. We start getting into the drinking stories.
Yeah.
And then I moved here 2 years ago.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, 2 years ago.
So is it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, I'm still in love with it.
Every day.
Luckily. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Every day I get off the subway, and my work is like relatively downtown, but I get off the subway at Union Square. And going to work, it's frustrating because people are in your way. People are selling, they got their tables set up and stuff at Union Square. I'm like, get the fuck out of my way. Like, I got to go iron my clothes. Like, because I still work in restaurants. But that walking to the subway, walking to Union Square at night, and you see the Empire State Building.
Oh, yeah.
Every time. I've been here for 4 years now. Every time, though, when I leave work, I'm like, man, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
And also, my restaurant is equal distance between the stand and the cellar. So it's just like, do I want to go like hang out and maybe run into someone I know or run into some of the most famous comedians in the world?
Right.
Or do I just want to go home and play Xbox and eat dinner? Like, so it's like people in Florida, and I'm sure you get this from Rhode Island, people back home are always like, yeah, but it's so expensive and the rats and the danger and the dirtiness and I go, dude, I just waited on Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, and Ari Shaffir the other night.
Right.
And I know Ari like decently enough to where it's like we were all just like talking comedy. Mm-hmm. I was like, that doesn't happen in Jacksonville.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry. Like,
that's
I
what you're paying
love Jacksonville, but that's what you're paying for.
Right.
So for you, I want to get into some of the stories because that is the story of you getting here is actually fantastic. Because I had a similar thing where I was like, it's New York. It's definitely New York. And have you ever started dating someone and like 6 months in, you're like, oh, this might not work, but you stay together for 4.5 years? Does that ever happen to you?
You're close, yeah. Yeah.
But my ex, opposite of your ex, my ex was like, the one thing I want to do with my life is get out of Jacksonville and go to New York, live in New York. So that was kind of the glue that held us together was our huge desire to get to New York.
Right.
Mine was for comedy. Hers was because she loves Sex in the City.
Sure.
And yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
But we got here. And then, you break up, you figure shit out, and then you're like, all right, let's go. So I find that's just such a cool story to be like, literally a couple years before you're at a job being like, I can't. I can't do this.
Right.
I don't have the constitution capable of completing this.
A similar feeling to that competition, Mike.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe I go back.
There you go.
Selling insurance.
Just start crushing insurance. You're like, I am going to be a gajillionaire.
Yeah.
So for you, let's talk about it. You went to school. You grew up in Rhode Island. You went to college in Rhode Island. When did you first start drinking? Was drinking like kind of a thing in your family, or did you have a strict family?
Okay, so
Which aren't mutually exclusive.
Sure. I come from a long line of legendary drinkers.
Okay.
My dad and his brothers,
Yeah.
I mean, a sight to behold.
Where are they? Where are they from originally?
The Azores.
Okay.
Yeah, are you familiar with that?
Absolutely not.
Nobody knows what that is, dude. And I always say that. I never say Portugal because they are technically...
You son of a bitch.
They're
you sandbagging son of a bitch.
Yeah. Because the Portuguese, the mainland Portuguese people are white, and they shit on the Azorean people because they're a little darker, and they're island people, and they're hillbilly goat fuckers.
Okay, is that what they call them?
That's what I call them.
Do you speak Portuguese?
No, I don't.
Not at all.
No. Well, see, my mom's Italian, so
Okay.
they just spoke English in the house.
Got it.
you know?
So, the Azores, legendary
Yeah,
drinkers.
Yes. Portugal, I think they drink the most wine in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
There you go, badge of honor.
They have a holiday. It's some saint. I don't remember which one, but it's they call it Day of the Drunks. It's November 11th. It's my dad's birthday.
There we go. Also Armistice Day.
And Veterans Day, the whole thing. So, yeah, as far as drinking at I know kids, a lot of Italian people, they let the kids drink a little bit, as they grow up, which I think is a healthier way, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I've had a couple of guests on this podcast that are immigrants to the United States, and they're like, yeah, the way we do it where we're from makes way more sense. Because if you stigmatize it when they're kids, then as soon as they have the ability to do it, they're going to do it way too hard.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have it at the restaurant because it's like a fancy place. And I'll have like European guests come in and they'll order wine and they'll be like, yeah, for the table. And I look at the table and I go, you're going to make me ID everyone at this fucking table, guy. Like,
Right.
You can't, like, this kid is clearly 14.
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of Italian family because there's no drinking age in Italy. So they just kind of grew up with it. But that wasn't the case for me. And my dad was, he hit the booze for a while.
Yeah.
Pretty hard. He had to get a new liver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's good now. He don't drink no more, obviously.
Talk about a checkpoint.
Yeah. So
We're going to have to restart.
I have a predisposition to that kind of thing. And
my family's Eastern European, where I'm in a similar boat, where it's like, no, we do this to celebrate, we do this to mourn, we do this to get-togethers. If you're alone, like this is what we do. We drink.
Yeah. So if to answer your question, is drinking in my family biologically, but not so much. It was stricter in the sense of I didn't really drink.
Okay.
I wasn't growing up drinking with it.
When was the first time you got like hammered?
I think it was the summer. It was one summer, but it might have been between senior year in college and freshman year in. No. I'm sorry. Senior year in high school and freshman year.
No, I got you. Yeah. That seems to be. It's either people start super young or that's the break. That's when it happens.
Yeah.
Just in the couple hundred guests that I've had on this show, that's it seems to be. I was 12, 13, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
And those are normally the guests that come on that are now sober, like completely
Sure.
sober. And then also like the majority of my guests though, it's like junior into senior year or senior year into college is kind of the breaking point.
Right.
Do you remember what happened?
The very first time? Yeah, it was stupid. It was just dumb. I I missed a party. I was working late, and I was a dishwasher at the time, and I missed a party that a bunch of my friends were going to, and it was exciting because everybody was going to drink.
Yeah.
And my friend group, none of us really did that. There were some people that did, like that I went to high school with. They were already drinking and stuff, but we didn't really do that. We smoked some weed occasionally. But,
Yeah. When was the first time you smoked weed?
I think I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like sophomore, junior year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And
that was just like, to your point, that was just kind of like every once in a while, like, hey, let's smoke weed and
yeah, at that
play
time,
video games kind of a thing.
At that time,
Okay.
yeah. But that was maybe 2 years before the drinking. The first drinking. So by this point, we would smoke weed more often, a few times a week or whatever. But drinking was still like taboo to us. So I was like, fuck, dude, they're going to go and I want to go. And I rushed out of the job and everything and I missed it.
I've been there as a busser in high school, like just like throwing all the plates into the bus tub.
Yeah.
And then I was the guy handing it to the dishwasher like, por favor, por favor, por favor. And he'd be like, ay, Dios mío. And I'm like, ay, gracias, gracias. And I run out the back.
And just run out of there.
Yeah.
And dude, and I got there and the party was over, but my friends were drunk and they wanted me to drive them. And I was like, God damn it, fuck. So I smoked a little bit of weed, but I wasn't. It's different.
Yeah,
you're not on the same level.
Yeah.
So I'm like, God damn it, I want to get hammered, and they weren't gonna go home yet because they were still drunk.
Yeah.
And so we would just kind of walk around my neighborhood and bullshit late at night and stuff. So I went into my laundry room, and up top there, for whatever reason, there was a bunch of old booze. Like, my dad doesn't drink anymore at this time.
Yeah.
So it was just there.
Oh, so your dad's off the sauce at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a couple years after getting the new liver.
Yeah.
So I just grabbed, like, this, I think it was Canadian Club, and I had this Wendy's
I love
Club.
the fact that your dad was such a hardcore, like, well, I'm not going to drink anymore, but we're not going to get it out of the house. Like, what if we have company? What if people come over?
Right. That's exactly it.
We got a whole bar right over there.
Yeah. Totally. I want you guys to have a good time.
I've been sober for 7 years. Yeah. But when people, and because Tracy doesn't really drink unless she's like out with friends, and then she'll have like a drink. So it's like, yeah, we have it. Like if people come, it's like, yeah, we're gonna do a thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You want to entertain.
Yeah.
And
Canadian Club. Let's
grab
go.
the Canadian or Seagrass, some just awful garbage.
Terrible. Yeah.
And I filled a medium Wendy's cup. I don't know if you can picture them, but they're big.
Oh, I worked at Wendy's. I can picture it.
Yeah, they're fucking big. Almost all the way to the top.
That's
maybe
16 ounces, everybody.
Maybe 3/4 full. And we're just walking around my neighborhood, and I'm sipping this thing.
Just that. No soda, no ice, no nothing.
Nothing. Sipping it. Disgusting, dude. I'm sipping it. I'm like, bleh, bleh, this is gross. And my buddy, who's drunk, goes, dude, you're supposed to just pound it. Just pound it. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to sip it. I thought you were supposed to sip it. And he goes, that's for experienced drinkers, dude. You don't get it. And I'm like, all right, fine. And I just gunk, all of it.
How physically are you able to do that? Your body's not used to that burn. That you just did it.
That biology we were talking about.
Yeah, and also ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're new to it, you're kind of just like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna do it.
Yes, and then we're walking around.
Oh no!
And
this is gonna take at least 7 to 12 minutes to hit you.
I remember. I still describe it to this day the same way. It was like a big fist the size of my torso that just said drunk. Punched the fuck out of me, dude. Oh, we're walking, and I don't remember it being bad. Like, it wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I started cackling, laughing, and walking all woozy, and I thought it was awesome. I'm like, this is great. Yeah. Just got smashed. And then eventually they leave.
The new liver makes sense now.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Eventually they leave, and I go home and I lay down, and my ceilings in my bedroom have that like popcorn ceiling, and they're like twisting, and I'm like, oh, this is the part. This is the bad part.
Yeah, the spins.
And I eventually just fell asleep.
Okay.
Didn't throw up. Wanted to. Wake up at like 7 a.m. as you do, which I learned this later on, that this is just what happens.
Yeah.
Wake up mad early, just fucking ruined. In my underwear, nobody's in the house. I just run downstairs and just pound milk. It was like a gallon of milk, and for whatever reason,
the worst way you could go.
It called my name, dude. I don't know what it was, and I just fucking gunk. Closed it, went back to bed.
God. I mean, I guess that is good. It's got a lot of protein. It'll settle your stomach as far as the acid and stuff like that.
Right.
I think. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I'll just make a horrible mess.
So then after that, when you like between that time, because this is the summer before you go into college, are you drinking more and more often?
No.
Okay. So when did you kind of like let it go? Like when did you start? Because you said when you moved to Connecticut, that was like when you really started partying, but that's years later.
Right.
So through college and stuff, are you just kind of smoking weed and not really drinking?
I'm drinking occasionally.
Yeah.
Occasionally. At the time, I had pretty good self-discipline.
Okay.
At that time, I was pretty dedicated to
When
staying
you
in-
are drinking, are you like off the leash, like going, or are you just kind of like, oh, I'll have a beer with my buddies?
This last run was pretty hardcore.
Okay.
This last run was good.
Yeah, because I want to talk to you about
Yeah.
that. But before we get into, because I want to talk to you about the summer of 2024. That's that's what I want to end on, though. So before we get there, when you're in Connecticut, like what's going on with that? So if you're, because the reason I ask is because I was playing college football when I first got to school.
Yeah.
So, but I am an alcoholic. So the tendency was I would dump my addictive behavior into football, but like every Wednesday and Sunday I could let it rip.
Yeah.
So every Wednesday and Sunday I would get fucking wrecked,
Fucked up,
like
right.
really bad.
Yeah.
But then I would wake up Thursday hungover. We would do walkthroughs at practice. I'd go to my classes, and then it wouldn't happen again until Sunday after we had our scrimmage. I'd come back home and then let it rip again.
Yeah.
So the reason I ask is because you're only drinking occasionally in college, but are you like partying or no? You're just kind of like,
Yeah. No, I mean, I was having partying stages, but I didn't have that college experience where
Okay.
you move away.
got it.
Dorms,
You're
the
still
whole
living
shit.
at home and stuff?
Yeah.
Got it. So,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that actually clarifies. I could have just asked that.
Yeah.
That actually clears up everything.
Yeah.
So then you go to Connecticut for that year.
Yes.
Before you come to New York.
Yeah.
And what's happening in Connecticut?
This was one of those years where this is going to sound cliche and maybe a little weird, but where you hear about artists or whatever kind of losing their mind a little bit. That was this for me a little bit.
So this is 2023. 2022?
2022.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I moved there in April.
Okay.
That timeline sounds about right. Moved there in April. Okay, so a bunch of bad shit happens.
Let's go through it.
At the beginning of my time. I didn't want to move to Connecticut, by the way. This
Yeah.
wasn't. I still wanted to go to New York. The breakup happened, and I had like 3 weeks to figure shit out. But
Did you have some money saved to where you could go?
Oh yeah. But
I love that you say it like that. It's like not all of us are forethought.
I went to school for finance,
yeah,
bro.
That's great. Good point. I thought I'd be dead at 27, so everything else
Right.
is just like, yeah, whatever.
Sure.
My girlfriend gets so upset. Tracy gets so mad because she's just like, you have to put money away. And I'm like, or I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and then none of it matters.
Right.
She's like, yeah, but you didn't get hit by a bus yesterday.
Yeah.
You haven't been hit by a bus today. And I'm like, but tomorrow.
Right, exactly. And then we're gonna regret what? The $300 I spent on
Right.
fucking Xbox. whatever.
Buying the new Xbox Series X. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah, of course.
This is fun now. What is forethought? So you had money saved, and you're like, how did Connecticut happen? I interrupted. How did Connecticut happen?
No, you're good. I didn't have much time to figure out New York, and I still didn't love the idea of living with roommates at the time. I hadn't submitted to that yet.
Oh, you will.
Yeah, right. And I found a small little studio in a town called New London, Connecticut.
Okay.
Which is a great town to get murdered in, for being honest. Like, you drive through it and you're like, this could be in one of those slasher film movies where there's a killer on the loose. And I moved there more so against my will. And I get a job. Like, things kind of work smoothly in terms of getting a job and moving in and stuff.
How far is it from the city?
From fucking 3 hours.
Okay, because it's
driving.
Okay, because the reason I ask is because, like, you know, I know people who live in Connecticut but commute every single day to New York, and it's like an hour and a half.
And that was the idea.
Yeah.
When I was like, I'll go to Connecticut. It's close. And the place I decided to move to is like just over the border of Rhode Island.
It's on the other. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's not far at all. So I end up working at Mohegan Sun Casino. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I end up working there.
They got a
and
comedy club in the Mohegan Sun.
They do. Comics Roadhouse. Yeah. The chicks that dance on the fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I know the Mohegan Sun.
Yeah. I get a job there at a brand new place. It's a sports book. It's actually dope now. But it's huge. It's a FanDuel fucking thing, and it was brand new. And as a server there was a lot of growing pains, as I'm sure you know, working for a new place, especially as big as this, such a big operation, kind of corporate. Long story short, there's not really a lot of money to be made when sports aren't happening. And if you think about it, I'm there in April. the finals just kind of ended. I miss March
Yeah.
Madness. You know, there's not like a steady
It's the
season
downtime.
yet.
It's just baseball.
Exactly. And I'm not really making any money. So I'm in Connecticut, don't want to be there. Not making money. Me and this girl are like...
Another girl.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay, my bad. I fucked the story up a little bit. We decided that we were going to try long distance.
Okay. Got it.
So that's important because maybe a month into living in Connecticut, we break up.
I was going to say, it makes more sense when you
Yeah.
go, me and this girl. That makes a lot more sense. The tone really checks out after you say it.
We break up. I get COVID,
Okay.
and I threw out my back in the gym. So I was like, it was hard for me to move, to do anything.
Yeah.
I was just in pain. So all these things happened pretty much within a month.
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah. And literally all I have is stand-up at the time. Because my job's not making money. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have my health. I'm just fucked. All I could do is drive an hour to New Haven or Hartford or Providence or Woonsocket and do stand-up.
Yeah.
That's literally all I have. But I also have drinking.
You do. You do.
So now at this point, the girl I was dating previously, the one I break up with, she would have a drink every now and again, and it kind of opened me up to it because I still had that shit in the back of my mind of my dad being an alkie. So I was still cautious of it. But she kind of exposed me to you can have it casually. Like you
social
can just,
drinking, yeah.
Yeah. Aside from the occasional party blackout.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a healthy
Yeah,
relationship.
there isn't it's not a zero
Yeah.
sum. It's not this or that. You can actually just have a drink or two and then
Yes.
sober up and go about your day.
So exactly. So while I'm in Connecticut, I start to explore this a little bit more.
I don't think our biology is built for that, but let's see what happens here.
And this is where I start to get into the drinking alone,
Yeah.
binge drinking, which
Best
I
way to do
enjoy.
it.
I
Yeah.
still enjoy it. I like it.
I tell people all the time,
you know.
the best person I like to drink with is myself.
Yes. If I could just have a mirror and just, yeah.
You do. It's in your bathroom. You can talk to it. I've done it.
Right. And so Connecticut was a year where I really started to drink. I started to put the booze away on a more regular basis.
Okay.
And
When did the hospital thing happen? Was that in Connecticut?
No, that was freshman year of college.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I tried to slip it in there and play it. So how did that happen?
Okay. This story, I'm gonna try and concise it up because it is a little long.
Okay.
But I break every drinking rule throughout
Yeah.
because now I'm 19. So again, inexperienced. This was I don't know, 7 months from the Wendy's
chugging,
Cup.
yeah.
You know, and I have this idea. I'm like, hey guys, let's go to this concert. Our favorite rapper at the time was Kevin Gates.
Okay.
He was going to be there, and plus the headliners were Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa, and it was in Connecticut. It was in Hartford, Connecticut. It wasn't far away, and I had this idea. I was like, we should get hotel rooms so we can get hammered and and just sleep there. They're like, yeah, cool, this is a good idea. So we get there the day of the concert, probably half of us. There's probably 10 of us that agreed to do this. So let's say 5 or 6 of us are there early, and we have a 30 rack of Coors Light
Yeah, silver bullets.
that some upstanding citizen purchased for us.
Oh, yeah, because you're 19.
Yeah. And I was like, we can't just go in there with this thing. We got to, like, figure out a way. So I'm like, we should dump them all out, the unopened cans, into a blanket and just ball up the blanket.
Yeah.
And just, so
Act
we
like
do
you're
that.
walking in with a blanket.
So we start cracking these things. We're drinking, waiting for our friends who are going to bring the liquor later on. And they're, by the time they get there, I know for a fact I'm probably 6 or 7 beers deep.
And we all know our nursery rhymes. Beer before liquor, never been sicker.
That's right. That's the first rule that I broke. Because now we got Captain Morgan.
Of course,
Which-
because we're 19 and that's what we
Yes,
drink.
a handle of it.
Yeah. No other way.
And which should become my enemy, for years to come, Captain Morgan.
Yeah.
And also somebody brought Bombay Gin, I think because of...
That's disgusting.
Snoop Dogg Gin and Juice. We were like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude. This is genius.
Yeah. You got to go with something not as juniper-y if you're gonna do gin and juice, like a Monkey 47 or a
Sure,
Hendrix.
sure. But see, we didn't know.
Nah,
We didn't know.
I don't know.
And I'm sitting in this hotel chair.
Just a little aside, it's my favorite when guests come in, and you know the guests I'm talking about, and they go, I want a gin and juice. And I go, what kind of gin?
Yeah.
I don't know, a gin and juice. What kind of juice?
Yeah.
Like, I got a lot of questions here, man.
Beet juice.
Just
You got a hard dick.
you want to do tomato juice? Tomato juice and Empress, the purple gin that's super flowery. You want to do that?
Delicious.
So you get in there, you're drinking, you're having a good time, you're breaking all sorts of rules.
All sorts of rules. I'm sitting in the hotel cuck chair, you know, those
Oh, yeah.
plasticky chairs.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm drinking rum and cokes. Okay. And not like, 2 ounces of rum and
Yeah.
then you top with ice.
You're drinking rum with a splash of Coke.
Exactly. And I'm drinking I probably had 4 of them in less than an hour. Pounding them.
That's too much, man.
And now here's the next rule that I break. You don't know how drunk you are till you stand up.
Yep.
And now I'm like, whoa, okay. So I stand up, and now I'm like, but we have this gin. Another rule, broken. Take a swig of that.
Can't mix.
Can't mix. Light and dark. Another rule, broken.
That's my favorite rule.
Don't mix the
The best rule, I think. Some people say it's beer before liquor. I think it's don't mix them.
That's genius.
Thank you.
Now, the next guy, the next words that are uttered in this hotel room are also genius, and that's let's go smoke blunts.
Ooh.
Another rule,
Broken.
and we go in the car, we go in my car, and we're hotboxing this car, smoking blunts, and I had 6 of them in a pack, ready to go for this concert. And I look my buddy in the face and I go, bro, I'm fucked up. And he goes, don't worry about it, man. You're good. And that's all I needed to hear. I'm
Yeah.
good.
All right, I guess I'm good.
We get up, we leave, we get in the Uber, which we didn't need. The venue we could have walked, and it would have been a better idea. I could have walked off some of the drunk. Also, no food, no water. I don't know.
Check.
I
You
don't
don't
know
know.
that would help.
God.
We get in this.
Bashing your way through this.
We get into this Uber. This guy made a poor fucking choice today. It's a sedan, and 4 of us get in the back, 1 in the front. We're on top of each other. It's sweaty. Fucking.
Yeah, it's hot.
The car's moving. We're in traffic because we're on the way to a concert.
Should've just walked.
I had this dope ass brand new Mets hat that I thought I looked good in, and I knock it off my head because I'm sweating. I'm like, ugh. And my buddy next to me, who ended up becoming known for catching vomit, I heave into my lap and he throws my hat.
Your brand new hat.
Catches every drop though.
There you go.
Didn't get any of it in the Uber. He listened to the whole thing, but didn't get any of it in
Did he
the
kick
Uber.
you out immediately?
No. He drove us to the venue, but now I'm hanging out of the window. My buddy's holding my vomit hat.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging out of the window. Everyone's oh, shit, because we're in traffic.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'm yakking, heaving. We get to the venue. It's an amphitheater. It's outside. But before you can get to it, there's a massive field. And I step out of the car. I throw my vomit hat. I feel better.
Yeah.
Like I feel okay for a moment. Then there's a chain link fence that I lean on. And I slowly slink down to the ground, just fucking, ugh, and now I'm back in Death Fuckingville. And I'm laying on the ground.
You get a little bump from the endorphins from when you vomit. A lot of people don't know that. It takes a lot of muscles to make your body throw up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just like going to the gym. Your body will produce. It is. It
That's
really
what I
is.
tell myself.
Your body will produce a shit ton of endorphins when you throw up, and you're like, "Oh, I'm good."
Yeah.
That's why puke and rally's a thing, because you're like, "I'm good."
Right.
And then about 5-7 minutes later, your body's like, "Nah, that was a little bump."
Yeah.
We still feel like shit.
Exactly. So now I'm laying in the grass. All my friends go except for one. He's like, I'll watch him. This was also the beginning of my arc as the guy that needed taken care of.
Yeah. It's the worst arc to
which
be
is
in.
bad. Yeah.
That's why I drink by myself.
Exactly. So, and now I remember laying on the ground, and it's like a scene from Saving Private Ryan, like one of those oblique scenes where people are just falling. There's people running all over. Everybody's in bad shape. I'm not the only one that's fucked up at this thing. And there's people getting transported, putting on stretchers, putting in ambulances, and I ended up being one of them.
Oh, really?
My buddy just calls a guy over.
We got a man down. Medic!
Yeah.
Medic!
And they put me in the back of this fucking ambulance, and I'm back there, and I never felt like this in my life. And I look at the guy, and I'm like, am I going to be okay? And he's like, you're drunk. And
Pussy.
Yeah. I lay down. They bring me to the hospital. I lay down. They take everything off me. I fall asleep, wake up like an hour later. Fine. Completely fine. Everything's all like my chain's off me. That I'm wearing, whatever they put on me.
Yeah, the little gown.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, how do I get out of here now? Like, I'm done. I feel fine. I want to leave.
I'm good.
And they're like, okay, somebody needs to pick you up. And I'm like, okay, I don't have my phone. My phone's in the locker.
Fun fact, you can just leave.
Really?
Yeah.
Just get up and
They
leave.
can't. It's not a prison. They can't hold you.
They had my shit in the locker. Though.
Okay. Then yeah. If you want your shit, you can't just leave.
I just walk
In
down
Florida,
the street.
they put it in a bag.
Okay.
And they'll put the bag next to the bed. There's a couple times where I've gotten up and been like, peace.
Yeah. I'm out of here. I grab my phone, and they're like, you have to use our phone. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I look up my buddy's number, and while I'm on the phone, I'm looking around, and it's a bunch of people from this concert. Mm-hmm. I can tell because of the way they're dressed.
Yeah.
It rained, and they're
Kevin Gates
soaked.
concert. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. They're soaked, and people are muddy. And I'm on the phone, and the room right next to where the phone is it doesn't even look like a hospital room. It looks like an interrogation room. And they got this kid strapped to a fucking bed with no shirt on, just screaming, like pulling up from the bed. Fuck you. This dude is just screaming. And I'm on the phone with my buddy. I'm like, you guys got to come pick me up. And my
Now.
buddy, yeah, I'm like, is the concert almost over? He's like, yeah. Kevin Gates didn't even show up, by the way.
Oh, shit.
The whole reason we went there. And he goes, yeah, I think we might have to leave you there for the night. And I'm like, I'm looking at this kid screaming. I'm like, no, you're not going to do this. This was my idea, by the way. This whole thing was my idea.
Hotel room.
Yeah, exactly. So eventually I convinced him to come pick me up. I walk back in, and in between they have that curtain.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a guy there. But when I walked back, I looked, and there was a guy there, and he was just kind of like staring, because you don't get your phone, you don't get to do anything. So he was just kind of like staring. And I lay back in bed, and I hear from the other side, he's like, hey, man, what are you in for? Like, we're in jail.
Yeah.
And I told him the story, and he's like, oh, man, that's a tough mix. Everybody's been there. He's kind of making me feel okay about the whole situation. Then I'm like, yeah.
He's your Red to the Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody in here is innocent.
I want to see him on a beach with with a boat.
Only
and
guilty
everything.
man in Shawshank.
Yeah. And then I ask him the same thing. I'm like, what are you here for? And he goes, yeah, I fucking ran out of this mental institution these people had me in. They were trying to fill me with all these drugs, and then he just like switched, and he's like, fuck that. Fuck those fucking people, dude. They're never bringing me back, so they brought me here.
Your first introduction to schizophrenia.
Yeah. And my buddies picked me up.
And you got out unscathed.
Got out. Unscathed, I wouldn't say, because they started calling me for the ambulance fee.
Oh, really?
And yeah, at 19,
Charge that to the game, bro.
$900 is infallible.
No. Hey, you all charge that to the game.
Click
Yep.
every time. Went to collections and everything.
Yeah, that doesn't. Medical bills don't pop up on your credit. You know that. You majored in finance.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I know this game actually. Thank you. Bye. All right.
Sorry for the long.
No. I love
long.
these kind of stories because there's so many times where it was just like, I've told this story a million times on this before, but similarly, I got really fucked up one time, and I'll tell you the short version. I ended up at this girl's apartment who wanted nothing to do with me, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I should have been a red flag when she's like, my boyfriend is coming over. And I was like, I just need a place to hang out. It's fine. And I remember waking up on her couch. Phone was dead. Put on her flip-flops because I was just like, I need to put something on my feet. And I just walked out and just started walking. I walked for hours.
Nice.
And then eventually found a spot. The cop showed up, and then they got me a taxi. But it was so I've been there where it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it because this will be the last story we tell. We've got a
Yes,
little bit of time
sorry.
left. What happened in the summer of 2024? Because this was the end of that arc.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. This was a hell of a run.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. So from, I feel like probably July until 2.5 weeks ago.
Okay.
I was going pretty fucking hard.
Yeah.
On the booze.
So summer into fall into winter.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just texted me summer of 2024, but that's more of
that was the catalyst.
The year of the 2020.
Yeah.
The year of 2024.
I didn't even realize
and
that.
some of 2025.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
So what? So in the summer, you just decided like, fuck it, let's go.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Just fuck it. I am a person who doesn't do moderation well.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, I just go ham.
I go to
every
the gym
time.
6 days a week, even if I'm not feeling well, even
Yes.
if I'm sick.
Yes.
People are like, just take a rest day. And I go, addict, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Exactly.
Same thing with stand-up. I bomb mics, and then I'm like, well, hopefully the next one in an hour is better.
Exactly.
My girlfriend's like, you don't have, like, you got material. Like, you don't have to keep going if you don't have, like, new stuff. And I go, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I just have to. Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. That's the New York thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just everything all the time. So yeah, in the summer I was just like, fuck it.
Let's party.
I lived a long time very disciplined, and over the course of a few years and doing the stand-up thing and kind of living how I want, quote unquote, this was like the peak of my hedonistic
Yeah.
exploration, if you'd like to call it.
Summer of Barbosa, baby.
Yeah.
Captain Barbosa.
And I would just, I'm talking from that time frame that I told you, there was, every week, I didn't go a week without drinking.
Okay.
If it go 3 days on, 4 days on, 6 days, 5, maybe I'll go 10 days in a row.
Yeah.
So
It's
was
easy to
that.
see how it stacks up beyond the summer once you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So the summer, it's funny because here in New York, you pay for open mics. And everybody complains like, fuck, $5 for 5 minutes. Bro, I was spending $40 just to drink at an open mic 2 nights in a row.
So you're going to an open mic, paying $5 for the open mic fee, and then spending like $30 on drinks.
Yes.
God.
Yeah. And go up there hammered. Have fun. And by the way, this was all fun.
Yeah, having
the
a
whole
great
time
time.
was
Yeah.
fun. There wasn't like I'm drinking because I'm miserable.
Yeah, no,
maybe
you're
a couple of those in there.
Yeah, but you're,
but
you're having a good
mostly-
time.
Yeah,
We're having this is what it was made for.
Yes, yeah. And for whatever reason, the summer was super fun, and then the holidays roll around.
What's up for whatever? We know why it was super fun. You're fucking getting drunk every day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes, and then a few weeks ago, I was getting some pretty bad pains, like physical pains in my organs, if we're being honest. Definitely in the liver, but like, radiating kind of all over.
Yep.
And I would get those, but I was like, nah, fuck it, it's fine. Now it was starting to get a little persistent. And this was at the end of like a 14-day bender.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm very aware.
And
I didn't have benders. I just did it every day.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
the point where you were talking about, where I have a bit about it, but it's like, no, this is work now.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah, this is part of
This
the
is
thing.
why we play the game.
Yeah, this is part
Wake
of
up in
the
the
thing.
morning being like, I'm not going to drink tonight. And then by the time you get off work, you got that cash in your pocket from the restaurant. And you're like, fuck this. Let's go.
Ring me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 liquor stores on the way home that were open late. Come on.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Plus, a Smirnoff and a pack of Newports for like $28 out the door.
Plus, I actually do enjoy writing and doing stuff in a place that's kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
So I will go to a bar and drink and write, which is also that attic, thing where it's like, I'm working too,
And we're, especially with comedy, a lot of us are agents of chaos. We like to be
Sure.
in it, around it,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of that. And then, now it'll be 3 weeks this Sunday.
Hell yeah, man. What was the final, was it just the pain and you were like, I got to stop? Or was there a final act of like, you got home, you woke up, you were super hungover and you were like, I can't do this anymore? Or was it just over time? Because I've had people on here, like very prominent people that are stand-ups, but also in the sober community where, because I had a thing. My last drunk was a thing. I woke up in the hospital. A doctor was like, you should have been dead a few hours ago.
Damn.
And I was like, I guess it's time to hang it up.
that's a real thing.
That was like
thing.
the thing. But I've
Yeah.
also had people on here where they were like, no, just like it wasn't as much fun anymore. And then I would go out with my friends, and then it just kind of got. It was just kind of, it became work. It wasn't fun. And over time, I just kind of stopped. So for you, between 2024 to 2025, was it that thing where that pain was getting worse and then you were just kind of like, I'm done? Or did you have like a catalyst where you were like, that's it, I can't do this anymore?
It was definitely just listening to my body.
Okay.
It was a lot of that.
So it was a more over time kind of a thing.
It was it was that persistent pain that really wasn't going away. Like you get that pain, and normally I would just like lean on like a table corner and it would
try and push it out.
Yeah, it would go away.
Yeah.
And then that stopped.
That stopped working.
Yeah, that stopped working. Plus I was getting really bad sleep. Mm-hmm. Everything was just hard. And I had been boozing pretty hard for that period, 6 or 7 months or whatever, that I forgot how much easier it is when you're not hammered or hungover. And now it's like the thing that jumped out to me immediately was sleep quality.
Yeah.
Sleep
because you're not
quality is
sleeping, you're blacking out in bed.
Yeah.
And there's a difference.
And then you wake up, and then you're up for an hour, and then you go back to sleep, and then you
wake
go
up in
to
a
work,
panic.
Yeah.
And you have all that sugar coursing through your veins because that's how you ferment anything is the sugar. And so like shoot up out of bed like,
Yeah. And I'm a sick fuck, and I love the game. I like being hungover.
Really?
I like it, dude. I like going to work with sunglasses on, a big black coffee, red eye, espresso in that bitch, smoking a cigarette. Fucking, I love it, dude. I love it. I don't know why I love it.
It is very romantic. To
Yeah.
be like, I remember because I lived in Florida my whole life, I remember I was like, hangovers are going to be so much easier in the north, like in the cold. And I never got to experience it. But in my mind, like that scene in Boondock Saints where they walk out in the morning from the party and they're putting on their coats and they're lighting their cigarettes in Boston. I was like, that's the cure for a hangover. Like walking out into the thin, cold air and you're just like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I never got it, but I imagine that would be like the perfect cure for it.
No, I love it. I love it.
But now you're out.
We're out for now.
We're out for now.
Yeah, we're out for now.
Yeah.
The goal is...
Do you have a set timeline, or are you just kind of like, I'll just take it one day at a time?
Hey. The timeline is a month.
Okay.
So I'm almost at the month. I typically take a month off like twice a year.
Okay. This would have been really weird had we recorded in March like we were originally planning.
Yeah. I'm just fucking...
You're like, yeah, so I got hammered yesterday. What'd you do? Nothing, just got hammered.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting episode. All right, dude, this was so much fun.
Yes.
Plug everything one more time before we go. We'll have you back on. We still got to talk about your first New York show, 2018, going to NOS. A lot to talk about.
That was fun. Yeah.
You'll come back. Plug everything one more time.
All right. Smoking Simeon, new episode every Thursday. Catch it on YouTube. Catch it everywhere you get podcasts. My Instagram is at Antonio the Comical. That's where you can find some of my stand-up stuff, some of my personal shit, whatever. And then I also have a Substack titled Absurd. I post a new piece on there every month. They're pretty short, so even if you're dumb, you can read
funny.
it. Yes, not funny. It's not funny.
Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. At Brendan T. Comedy on all social media, BrendanTComedy.com. Get your tickets for the Bro Adjacent Tour. I'll be featuring for my very good friend, Matt Fulcheron. Will be in... real quick, Connecticut, Boston, Charlotte, and then a run in Florida at the end of May. So get your tickets. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to y'all next week. Boom.